My favourite person in the whole world.
Hey.
Is swinging by to Guildford. What brings you to England, Mr. Joey?
Just a couple super secret private gigs, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
Royal family sort of stuff. Can't talk about it.
I can't talk about it, unfortunately, but it rhymes with so. Is that a bad
Party
word?
capital of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, so no, Joey is here because coming up in April, across the whole of the UK or just selected parts of it?
All around the UK.
Brilliant.
We actually start in Dublin on April 9th. And then
which is not part of the UK, just for all of you Irish people there who would like to make that point.
Yeah, my apologies. But yeah, so we'll be in Dublin on April 9th, and then we finish in London. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. 21st of April, I think, or something like that. Towards the end of April, isn't it? Yeah, toward the end of April. So we'll be here for about 3 weeks.
I was going to say my favourite band in the world, one of my favourite bands in the world. But yeah, I can't wait. So I'm going to come see you in the London gig, which is going to be super exciting.
Yes.
But anyway, links below if you want to check out when Brothers Landreth are playing across Ireland and the UK. But soon, get your tickets. But tonight, right, you got this super, maybe that's the one tonight, but you've lost all your gear.
Yeah, they dropped the entire cargo hold into the North Sea.
Unbelievable.
I got to get a guitar, an amp,
basically everything.
A pedal, but I only got £1,000.
Okay, we can do this. What we can't do is afford anything in here. What could you afford? Anyway.
Maybe you can help me out though, like maybe you could loan me some cash.
So let's head through to the main part of the guitar section where Joey Landreth from the Brothers Landreth will attempt to put his rig for a gig together for less than £1,000. As we walk, Mr. Joey.
Lead the way, boss.
Now, when was the last time that you were in a band that your rig would have been, say, £1,000?
Probably about 10, 12 years ago.
So still early Brothers Landreth then? You'd have still been playing with some relatively affordable gear.
Yeah.
Can you remember what it was?
Do you remember when I came on the show the very first time I had that Cooter caster?
Parts caster, yeah, I do remember that.
Like the value of the pickups was more than the instrument, so it was like $250. I probably had some nice pedals on my board, and you had loaned me some Victory gear.
I remember.
So technically I didn't even have my own amp on that tour.
Those early amps that you would have had when you were back home, were you just picking up old used tube amplifiers, or do you remember having, you know, like a PV Bandit or one of those kind of classic solid state amps of the day?
So we have a brand in Canada called Yorkville.
Yes.
They're kind of like an affordable brand that sells through our big retailer, Long McQuaid. And they had an amp called the YCV40, and that was my first amp. It was all valve, which is nice.
Right, okay.
But, you know, had like those gray push buttons for the channel select. And reverb.
But a little tube amplifier to start on. It's good, good grounding.
Well, my dad's a musician, so we did have we had some higher end guitars.
So guitar-wise tonight, well, first and foremost, I guess guitars you've got almost anything from £99 up to whatever, you know, so you could pick any price between 0 and 1,000 pretty much. Yeah. Amp-wise is a little harder. Yeah. So sort of around about the 250 to 500 mark, you're probably just going to see some nice solid state kind of stuff. If you want to go valve, small valve, you're going to be up into the sort of probably 700-800. So not going to leave you a lot of change for guitar wise. So how do you think you want to approach this?
Well, I've always, and I think a lot of people agree, I've always felt like a cheap guitar into a nicer amp is a better combination than a nice guitar into a cheap amp. Probably try to spend a little more on an amp and a little less on a guitar. So what do you recommend?
What does the amp need to do? It's like, I'm kind of wondering, do we just aim to not spend too much on the amp, but find something with just a solid, clean channel and some nice reverb, and then get a pedal that suits your style, and then that does open up a bit more budget to buy a nicer guitar. We did at the beginning of this year, we played a very cool little 10-watt Black Star tube amplifier with a matching cab that I think you would really like, but you would be in for about 800 before you could then shop for a guitar, which really limits your choice to like almost like a starter guitar.
Yeah.
So I think I'm leaning towards going, and it probably makes for a more fun video, why don't we just allow a sort of a £500-ish budget for the guitar, a sort of a £200 to £300 budget, which will get us a decent clean sounding 50-watt combo, and then a little bit of budget left for a pedal or two. But the main thing is, guitar-wise, we could show you Squires and Epiphones and Gretches and all kinds of stuff, and then you could kind of go, what's the number one guitar at the moment for you?
It's a LP inspired gold top.
Okay.
with humbuckers.
So would you want to try and stick to like find an affordable version of that? I mean, I'm sort of, okay, that's not one, but there will be one. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Or are you sort of feeling like you might want to be a bit more experimental? But this is $599, so this will leave us $400 to find an amp and a... Should we have a wander around and look at some
Let's have a wander around. Yeah. I mean, that's a good place to start, or even something like that.
I thought this was... I really like this. This is a relatively new release from Epiphone, but the slab top double cut, I think, is a cool looking guitar.
Heck yeah.
That's a little bit less money, actually.
$499.
That would leave us a bit... There was a part of me thinking that a player like you might end up going for something like... Did you ever have a single pickup?
I do have a junior that I really like. What's the price on that?
Same again, I think, like a $499. So...
Well, you're not paying for the pickups.
No. That gives me doozy vibes, and I know you're a doozy man.
Yeah. Ooh, price is good. Let's try that.
So you like this?
Yeah.
Is this, would you say, so far, shall I just carry on walking around with this and see what else you like?
Let's do it. P90 style pickups, I like that.
What was the other one? This is going the other way. I think this is a great looking guitar, but that's kind of like, it's going to eat into our amp budget, but where's your heart going?
I think I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
I do like having a floating bridge, but because I play slide guitar, how adjustable that bridge is kind of important.
You've got kind of like a humbucker version rather than a P90 version. I don't know if you prefer...
Oh, now we are paying for the pickups. No, let's stay here. I want to make sure I got room for a pedal.
All right, so let's look completely alternative now in terms of maybe there's something Fender inspired that you might prefer. I mean, obviously we could go conventional Tele or Strat, or we could do a twist.
Yeah.
Any preference between the two there? What's your Bigsby experience? Are they a tuning nightmare, or are you okay with Bigsby's?
I mean, my guitars are always out of tune. I think it has to do with me more than the guitar, so that's not often a factor. I think I'm still leaning this way.
I can see you with this guitar.
Do you know?
I think these are a Gibson scale length, so they'll be in that sort of high 24s.
That's good too.
So not interested in Strats or Teles or Jaguars or Jazzmasters?
I want to love Strats, but I've just not played one that feels right.
It matches your eyes.
I think I'm still leaning in the way of greeny here.
I think the Gretsch is quite... I mean, there's no point looking at anything Ibanez, Jackson, Schecter. I mean, Ibanez maybe do have some more traditional, but you don't want a super stratty kind of shreddy thing, do you?
Probably no.
No. Okay. Yeah. Right. Amp-wise, we actually have got a teeny bit more budget to play with, but I still don't know that we're going to have a lot of tube amp stuff. I mean, affordable Princeton or a Blues Junior or whatever is going to blow the budget. This is super affordable. That is a little 50-watt solid-state Fender Champion that does have a nice clean sound. That's about 250, something like that.
Does it have reverb?
It has reverb, but it is completely solid state, so I'm not sure once we start putting pedals into it how it will react, but we could take that back and say it's an option. The Supro is a very affordable valve amp. I think these are on a special at the moment, so they might be affordable today and less affordable when the video comes out, but you want valve, don't you, really?
I think ultimately if there was an option for it, yeah, but I could make a solid state amp work.
I tell you what, let's take both.
Okay.
Because we've only spent $400 on the guitar, we do have enough to squeeze this bad boy in. Who doesn't want to squeeze a dirty dog in when they can? This is a pedal that you co-designed with Rev, right?
Correct.
Okay, yep. So I think these will be probably on the slightly more expensive side for this budget.
I'm sure I can get you a discount on one.
Exactly. Though. We'll include the Dirt Dog. I think a lot of the time when I talk to touring guitar players, they often have like a pedal that it's like, you know what, as long as I've got this pedal, I can kind of plug into most amps and get myself into a zone.
Yeah.
Would you put that pedal in this category?
Certainly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Absolutely. All right, well look, you hold that.
Got it.
We'll definitely take the Supro. Remember the Fender, but there's a couple other amps that are sort of competing in that zone. One is, of course, needs no introduction, the Boss Katana, which is, you know, millions of those been sold. Very reliable, does take pedals well, will do a clean sound.
Yeah.
Do you think visually it's a problem for an artist playing your genre of music to turn up with an amp like that, or
it might confuse some people, but I'm not too worried about that.
No.
What's the price point, most importantly?
Again, sub 300 for a 50-watt Katana. So
so this is.
So we got plenty.
For.
I mean, I think the Supro is where you're going to be in your happy
place. I think probably
place.
the Supro's where I'm at. Yeah.
There was one other. I'm guessing that like modeling is just not your thing, right? So
not unless I have to.
So we're avoiding anything that would be classed as like a modeling amplifier. But again, Laney do a nice little alternative to the Katana, which is just, again, just a straightforward channel switching amp, so clean channel. Overdrive channel, 1x12, solid state, sounds decent. We'll definitely take the Suit Pro, but pick Fender Boss or Laney, and we'll take that.
Let's go Laney.
You like Laney?
I like the way it looks.
And that is how we all end up buying everything in the end, isn't it? Okay, well, I shall take this and this and this.
I'll take this.
And we'll grab that Suit Pro, and we'll see you back in the studio shortly. The stuff that comes out of your fingers just shouldn't be allowed. But let's talk about what we've put together here and ultimately what you might decide to choose. So we ended up with the Suit Pro, which is called a Delta Blues 12. So that is a pretty low volume. I think it comes out at 15 watts, but it is a 12-inch speaker, so we're getting a bit of bass end out there, and it is a tube amplifier. And that was $479.
Yeah.
And comes in a range of different colors and is all good. So that plus the guitar, we hit just under £900, and then we've thrown your dirt pedal in, which does take us slightly over the $1,000 mark, but not much. And the alternative was the Laney Foundry, and we picked the bigger. There are two versions of this amplifier. This one has the slightly larger cabinet, and it has a couple of effects built in, tremolo, which is rather nice. And this is $350. So this plus the guitar plus the drive pedal still came in at under $1,000. So we threw in a cheap delay pedal as well. So this solution is all solid state, but it is a little louder. It's 60 watts. It has tremolo. It has overdrive. And you can have a delay pedal with it as well. And your guitar, I'll just remind myself, is a Gretsch 5210. So it's a single cut arch top 2P90 wraparound tailpiece. It's so it's unbelievable.
It kind of is, yeah. I love it. It's actually very impressive.
We haven't restrung it, so I'm guessing you'd probably have some heavier gauge strings if you were using this. We haven't tweaked the action or anything, so I don't know if it's to your preference. But yeah, that does not look or sound out of place in this setting.
Yeah, nor does it feel that way to me. I mean, setup wise, I would probably have heavier strings on top and raise the action probably on the high strings a little bit.
That's more for the slide playing, I'm guessing, is it?
Especially with the string gauge that's on it now, with lighter strings, I dig in pretty hard with my left hand, so I would raise the action up or have heavier strings on top and probably leave the action where it is.
I think I just love listening to great guitar players, because some people will practice and practice and practice to build up speed, and that's amazing, because sometimes you hear a player really rip something out and it's fast and you're like, whoa. And then other players they work out where all the characteristics of a string are, all the sounds that would just come from a string based on whether you play it down here with your thumb or in the middle with a pick or whatever. And I think that's what I love about listening to your playing, is there's a real vocal characteristic about, and again, we haven't done anything yet, right? Affordable tube amplifier, affordable guitar, no pedals, and you're getting sounds.
One of my sort of go-to things whenever I'm trying something new is to always play with my fingers, whether I'm testing an amp or a pedal or a guitar. Like, I do play with a pick. I've actually been messing around with a thumb pick, which has been really, really fun. I always sort of start with my fingers, as I feel like I can really discern what kind of touch responsiveness something has just playing with my fingers. So that's something that I always do. I spend most of my time playing with my fingers anyway, with the exception of like the 3 fast licks that I know. I spent like a month or 2 trying to learn some Eric Johnson lines, and I've got some very, very, very embarrassing versions of those that come out every now and then when I run out of ideas. But most of the time I'm just playing with my fingers, and I think I grew up listening to a lot of fingerstyle electric guitar players, so I gravitate towards those things. But like a good place to start is like anywhere where there's a pickup. Usually the pickups are placed in places on the strings where there's a this is nerdy talk, but there's a strong fundamental tone. So like you'll notice the difference between this. I'll put on the neck pickup versus this. As soon as you get away from where the pickup is, you get more sort of harmonic overtones happening. The note gets more complicated and is either more interesting or less interesting. But especially with slide playing, if you stay around the neck pickup, versus there's a lot to be played with there. And as you add overdrive or fuzz or whatever, those things become more pronounced.
Let's see if we can narrow down which amp suits you best. In terms of sort of knobs and buttons, yes, there's more knobs and buttons as you would expect with the solid state one,
Yeah.
but do we need them? I don't know. So you heard everything you've been playing so far through the Supro. Let's go over to the clean sound of the Laney. It sounds softer to me. Does it feel softer?
Quite a bit, yeah.
That's back on the Supro now.
It sounds a little bit, to me, like that's a very pleasant sound, especially for like sort of sweeter.
We're dinosaur guitar players.
We are, yeah.
I don't even know if it's just psychosomatic or whatever like that, but I really like the clean sound on this.
Yeah.
But it's quite, no matter what your fingers are doing, it's sort of in this sort of tonal dynamic range.
Yeah.
And then you go to the Supro and anything you try to exaggerate on the guitar seems to come out more.
Yeah, definitely. There's something very pleasant about the roundness of the Laney, for sure, but whoa, that's so skinny.
And you want another pick?
That's all good.
It's a little bit bigger.
There we go.
So that's the Laney again, but if you do the same thing on the Supro,
That's way more familiar feeling, like having valves involved. It just like responds the way that I'm expecting it to. There's something like slightly more flattering about that. Like I think your average, I don't want to say average, that's not fair, but someone may find themselves gravitating toward that, and it is really pleasant. But it's I don't think it's going to respond to the other things that I'm going to throw at it in a flattering way. In this setting, it's like, oh, this is really nice and warm and it's lovely to play.
we're not going to go there for your style of music, but what will happen is if we try to introduce amp gain on the Supro, it's going to sound like a broken, it's going to have that characteristic of that like vintage overdriven small amp
cranked old amp
thing.
Yeah.
And this is going to do modern gain in a much more controlled way. So higher gain, more compression, more controlled. Like a modern rock metal player is almost certainly going to enjoy the dirty channel on this more than they enjoy the dirty channel on that.
For sure.
But we're not going to use the internal gain here. We're going to stomp on the pedal.
Yes.
So let's see firstly how the Supro reacts to your dirt. What is it called?
The Dirt Dog.
Dirt Dog. Dirt Diggler. dog.
Dirk Diggler. Different kind of dog.
Oh man.
Does a thing.
I was like, we're having a free concert here. Let's hear the pedal through the Laney.
That's what I expected it to do.
It's funny, isn't it? Just no matter what, how the tech. I mean, actually, in fairness to the Laney, the Laney's angle is actually not to try and do a modern. It's more akin to the sort of solid state amplifiers that you and I would have grown up sort of playing when it was just old fashioned. So it's not trying to do digital modeling in the preamp in the way that some other modern amps are.
Right.
But it's still just. I think it's an extension of. You know, we sort of said that on the clean channel, the valve amplifier just allows slightly more expressive. I think you're just seeing like that at another level as soon as you put the overdrive pedal in it. It's just the valve amplifier is allowing, and the solid state amplifier is kind of keeping it sort of reined in a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a hard thing to try and describe, but with my drive pedals, I'll always push them into the front end of the amp a little bit harder, which I'm doing already on this. Yeah. So it's like there's a bit of a volume boost, you know. Oh, are we still in the Laney?
Yeah, we'll go.
Yeah. So even though I'm getting the gain from the pedal, I'm also getting a little extra shmush from the tubes.
I feel like, I mean, we didn't even put the delay pedal in, but here we are. This is what you could have had, but I feel like you're going to choose something different. There is even one more. We might as well give the Laney its maximum opportunity. It could have tremolo as well.
That is nice.
But I'm guessing you're going with... Right, it's so good, man. It's so good. Why do you feel the need to go out with a rig that's 10 times the price of what this rig is? It might even be more than that.
Probably is, yeah. You know what?
And by the way, why does any guitar player?
Yeah, sure.
I don't mean you.
You're not specifically coming for me.
No, because Pete and I did a video yesterday of an Eric Clapton rig, and one was a Soldano and a Masterbuilt Clapton Strat, and the other was a Squier Strat and a Boss Katana.
Yeah.
You know, it was the same probably price differential as we've got here, might even be slightly bigger price differential as what we've got here.
Yeah.
Compared to what you would normally use. And it's like, it's marginal gains, right? It
really is. I mean, the way that we kind of talk about this in our whole, you know, organization that is the Brothers Landreth is like, you do get to a certain point where anywhere throughout the business, we're chasing after like single digit percentages, whether it's like trying to figure out how to get the right ads to somebody, you know, so that people know that we're coming to town or whatever. And it's the same thing for gear for me. And I mean, unfortunately, like some of those percentages cost more to get to than others. But, you know, it's like an amp that responds, like this sounds fantastic. And if I showed up to a gig and this is what I had, I could make it work. And that's also part of being a professional is like, I have played through so much trashed gear, showing up to a festival where there's a deluxe reverb that hasn't been serviced in 12 years, and it's been, it's the hardest working amp in the fleet, and it sounds like you have the option of like, well, the thing that I always do going into one of these is not working, so I guess I'm going to have a bad show. Or you lean into the imperfections of it and go, okay, my overdrive sounds like trash through this thing, but if I crank it up, it's pretty exciting sounding. So then that's just going to be my sound instead. You get used to working with different things, but ultimately, you get into that upper echelon of equipment, and it's also not for everybody. I had somebody plug into my rig and go, I would never spend the money on this, and that's totally fine. If it doesn't feel like you get the gains. For me, with the rig that I currently have, there's nowhere to hide, which is good. It means it forces you to be. You have to be present. You have to be swinging for the fences, because if you don't play into that rig, it doesn't sound very good.
I do love that. You say it very graciously, and I remember being in the room when John Mayer launched his 100-watt PRS amplifier, so it's a few years ago, but it's kind of like they were trying to recreate his Dumble.
Yeah.
And he funnily just sort of went, you have to have a certain level of guitar ability to be able to play this stuff and appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the ability, then don't waste the money. And I don't think he's talking about going from being an intermediate guitar player to a good guitar player. I don't think that's the level difference. I think he's talking about the difference between being a great guitar player and a really great guitar player.
Yeah.
And that's when those guys are getting stuff out of gear that guys like me can't get. So, or can't appreciate.
Sure. Well, and something like the Laney is great for a beginner guitar player. I mean, like, I've done a lot of teaching, and one of the worst things you can do for somebody at the beginning is discourage them. When people say like, oh, I want to learn how to play slide guitar, and they've got a pretty sort of beginner ability on the instrument, I'll often say, this is something that you should mess with later, because at this point, it's a bummer. Like, and it's hard and it's uncomfortable and it sounds pretty bad until it sounds good. And it's really important, I think, at that early stage for you to get some of that confidence back, so it keeps you coming to the table. So when I was saying like this has a flattering effect to it, that's a good thing, I think. And like anything that keeps a guitar in somebody's hands is a good thing.
I think the other thing that people should do before they dismiss it as well, I often find that the difference between gear is more obvious going back than going up.
Yeah.
So if you've got your sort of, your good gear, and then you go, wow, you know what? I'm going to buy this new drive pedal, and I feel like I'm just getting 1% more, and it's cost me $500 or whatever like that. But I'm going for the 1%. I sometimes feel when you go back the other way, you go, it's more than 1% maybe. But I didn't appreciate that until I'd had the time to. I certainly know in a recent thing where I've done a couple of things with Dan from the gig rig, where I've kind of upgraded switching boards, and I sort of the amount I appreciate it on the way up is less than the amount I appreciate it
on the way back
when I've gone back to using inferior gear or cheaper gear, whatever you call it.
Well, and for somebody like me who is doing this for a living, and like, it's interesting the sort of like commodities and metrics that become a part of the exchange when you're putting on a show. I have put enough work into my craft that, and this is not an ego stroke, I've just put enough time into the thing that I do night after night for the last almost 20 years, that even on a bad night, I'm still playing at a high level. But it's never because I'm not playing or singing well. It's usually because my head is not in the right place. And so I'll often listen back to gigs that while they're happening, I'm feeling frustrated over, and listen back and go, that was fine. Wasn't my best singing night, or wasn't my best guitar night. It was totally fine. For me, in a lot of cases, being excited about what I'm plugging into, maybe having, I'll often bring variations of drive pedals or fuzz pedals just to pop things in and out during a tour. The thing that becomes the difference between a good show and a bad show is never in my hands, it's always in my head. So it's like, am I present? Am I actively listening? Or am I like, I didn't get enough sleep last night, or maybe I shouldn't have had that second cookie, or like that. And that's what happens. And so doing things that keep you there and present, that becomes very valuable, because that's the difference between somebody going, I don't think he was really invested tonight, versus that was a great show and I want to come and see them again. And it's not all commercially driven. Like ultimately, I don't want to play well so that you buy more tickets. I want to play well because this is the thing that I've dedicated my life to, and I'm away from my children for a month at a time. And so I have to be having the best time. Otherwise, I'm going to stay home. And so that's kind of where, I'm also very fortunate. I have access to equipment that I would never be able to afford if I wasn't getting a discount here or there, or the odd thing sent to me for free. If I had to pay full price for the things that I use, I could never. And that's part of the exchange of being away from home, doing this thing that's tough. Part of the perks are sometimes people really want you to play their stuff, and they'll go, I'll give it to you for cheap or free. And you go, okay, cool. Thank you. It's not without its cost, though. It's like nothing is free, and not to make it heavy, but the cost is really heavy. I love doing what I do, and I wouldn't want to do anything else, but it does require me to be away from the people that are most precious to me. For we did a calculation.
You're talking about me mainly, aren't you? Here.
Yeah, of course. I only see my most favorite person every 3 years. My brother and I were doing the calculations, and he's missed like a year and a half of his son's life, and that's the cost of doing what we do. I don't know. It's not supposed to be a sob story. We love what we do. We made the choice to be here, and it also means that when I'm home off the road, I'm just like, I'm with my kids. I'm hanging out. I'm not 9 to 5ing it necessarily. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about. Why are we talking about this?
I do. I think these are great things for aspiring musicians to just take on board, right? And as you say, being in the moment, it's a good life lesson, right? Whether you're on stage or with your kids, be in the moment, right?
100%.
You like to get off the phone and be in the moment.
and the reality is the gear doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
I think this is often what these things demonstrate. You are able to convey all the emotion and all of the musicality of the songs that you've written. Whether I've given you a $800-900 rig or an $8,000-9,000 rig, it's like you're still doing it, right? So
I think it's taken me. I've been on the road playing music since I was 15 years old. I'm 38. I'm gonna be 39 this year. So whatever that math is, 24 years. I hope it's 24 years. Otherwise, I'm gonna look like an asshole on the internet. It's taken me this long to realize that practicing is important. Obviously, you got to put time into your craft. You have to there's certain skills that are really important, and your values might be different than mine. For me, my skills are my ears are really important, so I have to be able to identify things quickly, because sometimes my brother plays really cool stuff and I want to go with him, or sometimes our drummer Roman does really cool stuff and I want to be able to follow him. So those things are really important to me. So music theory is a big part of the things that I work on. It might not be important to the kind of music you make, and that's fine. Music is an auditory art. Music theory is like this. I always say music theory is like the science that describes the phenomenon. Mm-hmm. For me, it's valuable to have so that I can archive ideas and I can say, I liked the sound of that. That was this. That might not be important to you, but having the skills built into your body so that you don't have to think about, where do I put my finger? How do I play this song? You can just go out there and have feelings and put it out there and communicate to people and be human together. I think that's really, really important. Gear helps me do that. I like gear. I've always loved gear. Even before I had guitar gear, I loved guitar gear. All the stuff that my dad would, here's a weird little reverb pedal that doesn't work. I'd be taking it apart trying to figure out how, I love this stuff. And I find it very, very inspiring. But
look, we're going to go and have some lunch. If you're not familiar with Joey, the band is Brothers Landreth. There's some solo stuff as well. Brothers Landreth is what the Let It Lie album was the first album I heard of yours from more than 10 years ago now.
Oh, shout out Nigel Spenowin.
Shout out to Nigel, who is a sales rep that I've known almost all my life, but he basically texts me, I think you'll like this, Lee. I loved it. I still love it to this day. It's crazy how I never get tired of listening to that album. And then I long shot emailed you, said, you know, I love your album. If you want to come on, you came on. You're very gracious about what that little, you know, bit of exposure did for the band. But it was someone else would have, you know, you'd have been doing what you're doing regardless of whether we had you on. But I love it. And the nice thing was as well, after Let It Lie, there was this COVID thing and there was a different album. And I kind of felt it was a different vibe. You did a covers album, didn't you? I think of some of your favorite artists. And then last year, Dog Ear, for me, it was like, yes, man, this is, it's basically, I think it's going to grow on me in the same way that Let It Lie has. It's going to be one of those albums that I just listen to over and over again.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. It does feel like it's like us returning to where we started, but just having learned all the things that we've learned. And I'm super proud of this record. Yeah. It just feels like us. And I'm proud of every record. We pour ourselves into everything that we do. But I think, you know, every now and then you stumble onto something and go, oh, this is the thing. And that's what this record feels like. It's just like, you know, we recorded everything pretty much live. There's even some live singing on there, which I'm really proud of. So no overdubbed, or not no overdubbed, but there's a couple instances where we used the bed track vocals, which is cool. And it just really sounds like us.
So I haven't seen the band live since before COVID. And do you still do that sort of breakdown thing where just literally 2 or 3 of you will stand around a microphone and do it? Because seeing that was just like, it's kind of cool. When it wasn't a huge venue that I was in, but you could hear a pin drop in this venue. Yeah. When you stood around.
No, we haven't done that in a little while. We did that for so long. We called it our bluegrass moment.
Right.
We did it for so long that we found ourselves, like, not unlike what we were talking about before, we found ourselves kind of going a little bit on autopilot. Right. And so the sort of effect that it was having, on us wasn't quite as impactful as it had originally been. So we've let it go. You may see that come back, but it's a pretty emotional show, even like right now. And I'm very proud and humble when I do mean this in a humble way. The band is better than ever. Oh, and it's not because of me, because I haven't been putting hardly any time into my guitar playing. Too busy chasing kids around. But you know, my brother is playing from such a beautiful place, and Roman has never played better. And our front of house technician Ian Phillips, who's really an extension of the band, is just every night we walk off stage and people go, I've never heard a show sound so good. You know, like I said, it's not because of me. It's just, you know, we've got such a beautiful crew, and everybody's
it's a lot because of him.
Everybody's really invested, and everybody's in the moment and trying to do their best, and it's translating. Like, we just got off this tour. We just finished a European tour. I'm going home for a month, and then we're coming back in April. I've never had a better tour, and we played 14 shows, and not a single one of them did we walk off. Like, every now and then you went, I didn't quite get that note in that one song, or I started that solo in the wrong key, ha ha ha. But never did any of us walk off the stage and not feel great. It's really exciting. So I'm hoping that we can drag some folks out.
If every single venue isn't sold out, then something is wrong with the great British public. So just anyway, check the links below, find out where Brothers Landreth are playing nearest you, and get a ticket. That's it. Right. Thank you so much. Look, you can take your gear and go and do your gig in.
Yeah, right on. I'll share my location with you just to make sure I actually get back.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in another video soon. Beautiful.